here's a fact for you. Your agency is leaking hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a month in expenses that you could easily put a stop to. So think forgotten subscriptions, think missed or delayed client invoices, or truthfully, think about the bad spending habits that you might have that have accumulated to now being a lot of money that just simply disappears every month. And so in this video, I'll tell you the 3 biggest leaks that we see in the agencies that we work with, and we'll tell you how you can fix them today. Plus, I'll share exactly the process that we follow to make sure that these leaks are staying closed once and for all. My name is Joey and I run Agent CFO, where we help 6- and 7-figure agencies put the right financial systems in place so they can stay profitable and in control as they keep scaling. And so we worked with dozens of agencies, and there hasn't been a case yet where a client came to us and they weren't losing money on any of the things I just mentioned. But I also know that this is something that's easier said than done, because truthfully, even in my own business, I still keep seeing transactions slip through the cracks every month where I just know that we either had to cancel this or that there truthfully wasn't any real reason for this to go out. But just because it's hard doesn't mean that you shouldn't put a stop to this, at least to the best of your ability, because all of this cash is cash that should either be reinvested into the areas that will actually drive growth, or this is cash that should go straight to the bottom line and into your pocket. First up is a leak that we are all guilty of, and that is subscriptions. So all these software subscriptions are like gym memberships. You sign up, you use them in the beginning, then you forget it, and then you keep paying without actually getting the value from it. Agencies we work with typically lose 2 to 5K a year on unused tools and subscriptions that they're simply not using, or where they're paying for too many seats that are actually required. And so here is the quick solution to stop that. 1, audit your bank statements and credit card statements and literally go through the list once to identify all of these subscriptions that you have and ask yourselves whether you're truly using this and whether you're using them to the extent of what you're paying for. Then once you got that list together, then literally go through them to identify all of the subscriptions and tools that you are paying for. Next up, ask yourselves if these are actually 1, driving revenue, 2, saving you or your team time, and 3, are just generally worth using, or if there's not a better alternative available. After you answer these questions, you will know whether you need to keep the expense, reduce the expense, or completely cut the expense. That is the first step. This will take you maybe 10 minutes to an hour to actually take action on it and cancel these subscriptions or downgrade the seats, and this will immediately save you a good bit of money. Even a pro tip here is for the subscriptions that you are really happy with and that you want to keep using, is to look if you can upgrade them to the annual plans, which is an easy 10 to 20% saving. Once you've done this, you actually need to record these subscriptions in a separate sheet so that you know what they are and what the payment schedule is. And in this way, you can make sure that you're actually staying on top of it. You know if there's new employees being added to it because you can see which softwares you have, or if employees leave, you can again see which softwares you're still paying for, so you know which seats you have to reduce. And so by staying on top of it at this level, in just a couple minutes a month, you can easily spend a couple hundred to a couple $1,000 purely on these software fees. Then with these subscriptions handled, we're going to be looking at a big leak that you might not even be thinking about, or that you might not have the right level of visibility of today. And that is delayed or missed invoices to clients. This is often a leak that our clients are very surprised to hear, and are even more surprised when we literally point them out every month which clients haven't paid yet, or which invoices they forgot to actually send the client. And so if you forget to bill a client, or you send the wrong amount, or you forgot to follow up with them and you're not receiving the money, this is all leaving cash on the table, and it's hurting both your cash flow, but it can also hurt your bottom line. And so we've seen agencies where it's literally in the tens of thousands a month in invoices that didn't go through. Maybe these were Stripe subscriptions that were either canceled, or when there was not sufficient balance on the card from the clients, and they simply forgot to follow up, or they didn't know about this, and then days or weeks go by, and then they have to go back to the client to ask for this money. So very, very important to fix this leak and make sure that you are getting paid on time. Now, how do you go about this? 1, you need to assign either a team member, or you can hire a party for this to manage your invoicing. This is something that shouldn't take a lot of time, but it is very important that there's a clear owner of this who takes responsibility and will make sure that everything goes out on time for the right amount and it's actually getting paid. Then something that you can consider is to set a specific payment schedule for it. So we have clients that align all of their invoices to either the first or maybe the end of the month, so they only have to do one whole round of invoicing, and it's easier to manage this and see which invoices are still open. An alternative for this is to use the automated billing system from either Stripe or Go Cardless, so the invoices just go out at the set time and you know that you don't miss anything. However, it still is super important to have a single person who is responsible for this, because what is important to know is that no tool here is good enough, because we have clients who are using Stripe or Go Cardless and they still routinely miss subscription payments due to those insufficient balances or declined payments. And so while these systems are still better than manually sending every invoice out, you still need a person who's actually overseeing this and making sure all the payments go through and are paid by the client. And so you can even download our template for this, where we have a very simple client tracker where every month you can record the amount that is supposed to go out, and then you can see exactly which ones are currently open, which ones are delayed, and which ones have been received. And so very important to have a clear process for this and a clear owner who is responsible for making sure the invoicing actually happens. And that's the second leak sorted. Then now we'll focus on what for many agencies is their biggest leak, and this is the one that's truly holding back their growth. And that is the bad spending habits that have simply gotten out of control as they started to scale. Most agency owners spend a lot of money on coaches, tools, or side projects just because there's money in the bank, but not because that investment was the right investment at the right time. And so when you just keep spending the money because it's there, then you will always find yourself wondering at the end of the month where all the money went. If that is you, then this is what I want you to do. First, I want you to stop any new spending in any of these areas that don't have a direct ROI and actually take some time to reflect on all of the investments you've made to date. So I want you to see any of the masterminds or communities that you are in, whether you're actually getting value from it. I want you to see any of the setups that you've paid for to see if these actually have translated into real results. And any of the other investments or spending habits that you can think of, I want you to look at this and actually see if they have been worth it, or if there's anything you can learn from this to start focusing on in the future. Then once you've got that covered, I want you to put a budget in place. And so a budget is a very simple way to set clear rules of how much you're willing to invest in the different areas of your agency every month. So once you have this framework in place with a clear budget for your team, a clear budget for sales and marketing, clear budget for coaches, and any other key areas that you like to look at, once you're in place, you can now simply see every month, based on how much money you're actually making, whether you still have more room to spend in these areas. And so what you will find is that it will become so much easier to make decisions, because now you're actually thinking like a business owner. So you're not just thinking anymore like based on whether there's some cash sitting in the bank. You're actually thinking about the bigger picture, like whether you have budget available for a new initiative in a certain area of your business, or whether you've maybe already overspent in that area and you actually need to make some more money before you have new budget available for that. So that's a very easy and nice thing to do that will actually make it so much easier to make decisions and to manage your agency as you scale. And so I'll give you an example of this as well. And this is from one of our clients who found that they'd spent over $90,000 in the last year on these types of expenses, like coaching, like setup offers, like sales training, and all of these things. As well, most of the things were good and they actually did learn from it. They found that at least half of it was on stuff that simply wasn't needed at the time. And if all of that money was actually reinvested in the stuff that was working, like their ads, like a new team member, they would have grown so much faster rather than they impulsively bought all these things. So if you find yourself guilty of bad spending habits, then follow these steps, do a harsh review, and then set clear rules in place so that your decision making will be so much easier going forward. These steps will help you stop the current leaks that you have in your agency. However, you want to make sure that these leaks won't occur again as you start scaling. And that is where a 13-week cash flow forecast comes into place. And so in a 13-week cash flow forecast, you're doing exactly as the name suggests. You're making a forecast for the next 13 weeks of where your cash balance is expected to go. And so we have a very easy template to use where you can input all of the clients that you have, which will immediately help you with keeping track of all the invoices that are supposed to be going out and that's supposed to be paid. But also a place where you can input the team members you have and what they're getting paid and the expenses or other investments that you're planning to make. And so by inputting all this information and at least the expectations that you have for it, you can directly create a 13-week cash flow forecast that sums up by week what is supposed to be coming in and what's expected to be going out. And by having this system and a process to every week check if you're indeed close to your forecast, I will guarantee you that at least in the first couple of weeks, you will find a lot of expenses that are simply still just going through. These might be subscriptions you set up, or these might indeed be like purchases you make in the moment, but then during your weekly review, you notice that you actually should have stopped them. By doing this every week, you will find all of these little things that still slip through the cracks. And by seeing them there, you can put a stop to it. And then within a couple weeks time, you'll find yourself running a much leaner and more efficient agency where there's a lot more cash available to invest in the things that actually help you grow. And so if anything here resonated with you and you're tired of this money simply leaking out of your agency, then what you can do is book a call below with us. We'll do a completely free profit call with you where we discuss your finances, see where you stand, see what kind of margins you're hitting, and tell you exactly where you are likely over investing or maybe even under investing, and where your cash is truly going based on the numbers that you have. And so the last one we did, we managed to save them $1,200 a month by simply changing the way that they were sending their invoices out and then collecting the money. And based on the currencies, this was all happening in. And so there's a lot of different ways where you can still see money slip through the cracks that can just be stopped instantly. So if you want a completely free review of your numbers, then simply book a call below. We'll have a chat, we'll go through your numbers, and then we'll make sure that you are as profitable as you can be. All right, see you in the next video.